In your opinion, from a therapist standpoint, is trust something, and I'm looking for a true like yes or no, not people could work on it. Is trust something that can be repaired? Or once it's broken, it could never come back?
Oh, man. Trust is tough. I think people think of trust as this very like human thing, this very logical thing, something that can be discussed, but I don't think of it that way.
Okay, so what do you mean?
I think of trust as this thing that taps into our very animal selves. Like, is this person a danger to me? Is this person going to hurt me again? Yeah, I think trust is an unusual expectation, but something that is required to hold and knit societies and people together.
Okay, so let's say I broke your trust.
Yeah.
Could I fix it?
It depends.
On what?
Everything.
Like what?
Like whether or not you know how to apologize to me in the way that will make me feel like it's meaningful. Whether or not we will meet these conditions again in the future where this type of action is possible. Like if you go, I don't know, to space with your partner and they have sex with an alien and it was in your relationship agreement not to have sex with other beings, then, you know, it's like, oh, this is terrible, but when we get back to Earth or all the aliens die or something, then it'll never happen again, right? So like, it's like maybe it's easier to trust that, you know?
Right.
But if it's like
something that could happen and probably will happen again, then it will take way more, you're saying, to repair my even desire to want to trust you again, because I might have to deal with this very shortly after.
Exactly. Like a child growing up with abusive parents.
What do you mean?
Like, essentially, this child knows that it is going to continuously be exposed to a source of abuse or violence. Its trust is going to be shaken again. And essentially, yeah.
That's fascinating you say that. My dad used to beat me as a kid. And that's so interesting you say that. It's true though. I never thought of it from a standpoint of not knowing, but from a standpoint of what's the probability of this repeating itself. And I think you're right. I agree with that. It has a lot to do with trusting. But yeah, I got beat as a kid, and I got beat one day, and I guess my dad felt bad and apologized and told me he'd never do it again. And I was ecstatic. It was the best day of my life. Think about it. You got beat for 12 years. And then it's the end. It's the last day.
Yeah.
And then it happened again. And it was like, and I vividly remember. I'm curious if you had the same type of experiences in your life, but I vividly remember with the second it happened again. The second his hand landed on my face, I remember thinking to myself, I could never trust anyone ever again.
Yeah.
And ever since that second, I'm not saying I didn't trust people, but it's definitely been a battle. It's been a struggle to this very minute. It doesn't come natural for me.
Yeah.
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 Crazy.
I grew up in a violent household. I'm not saying there weren't good times. I grew up in 2 violent households. My parents were separated.
Man.
And I remember, oh my God, I remember the day that I asked my mother for help with this math problem. And she was explaining it. And I was like, that's not the way we're supposed to do it. Like, we lose points for not doing it a certain way. And she was like, And I'm sure it went back and forth like that a couple of times. And eventually it got to the point where she was like, you don't backtalk. That was the big thing. I was a big backtalker or something. And she started hitting me. And I was sitting down and I remember like her hand going back again and she was going for it again. And I stood up and I punched her straight in the nose. Like I gave that woman 2 black eyes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I don't know, like 13, maybe 14.
How'd that make you feel?
That might have been, yeah, I think that was the moment where I realized that I didn't need to be afraid of her anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she didn't get it. Like, she didn't get it. She told everyone, she told the entire family that, like, I hit her. She told all her friends that I hit her. And so it severely affected my relationships with my family.
Right.
To this day. Because she never told anyone what was really happening. No one really understands, like, what our lives were actually like in that house. You never do.
You straight up grew up self-defending yourself.
Absolutely. But she never got it. She was like, I'm your mother. Like, you can't hit me. And I was just like, don't fucking hit me. Like,
right.
Not about this. Like,
yeah.
Not fucking about this. Like, my bar is so low. Like, like already. Like, I grew up in this. Like, this is normal for me. But don't hit me about this.
Right.
And yeah, I am going to hit you back. And if you do it again, I will. And she hit me one more time. And I think I was like, wasn't putting on my shoes fast enough or something. And she slapped me one more time and I just stepped forward. And I was already a few inches taller than her at that point. And I just said, no. And she was scared.
Whoa.
And I was just like, that's what you are. Like, you are a scared person.
Right.
You want to feel loved. You're stressed. You're anxious. You do not have the coping skills to be doing what you're doing.
Huh. Whoa.
And that's when I broke up with my mom.
Yes, you broke up with my mom.
Yeah. Kind of. No, that was years before I actually broke up with my mom. But yeah, at one point I did break up with my mom and haven't talked with her in years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a world we live in.
Right.
And you know what's the craziest part?
Mm-hmm.
The craziest part is here we are, 2 people sharing with each other. The saddest part of it is that this is probably true with 99% of people watching.
And that's exactly why it's really important to say it. I think during my darkest times, my darkest days, when I first moved to Seattle, when I started being a flight attendant, I had no one.
Right.
I think the thing that, I don't think I know, the thing that kept me going when I really reached my rock bottom was people posting just simple one-liners on social media, like memes and shit, about how dark and twisted their lives were, things that they were doing. And it was literally just scrolling through those. That was when I first started to figure out that, oh my God, like, maybe I'm not crazy.
Right.
Like, I was raised in a situation my entire life for 18 years where I was taught to question my own reality, question my own existence. And my parents were very manipulative people, very, very unwell at that time. And I was constantly their tool for manipulating one another, for manipulating the world, for appeasing their own interests and making themselves feel better. And, you know, out in the world as an adult, especially single, newly single, alone, no purpose, like, yeah.
Whoa.
The normalization of other people's experiences let me know that, oh, like, there's a different reality here.
Right.
And I haven't been a part of it. And I could acknowledge now that maybe I'm actually not insane. Maybe I don't actually have all of these defects. Maybe this is just part of this human existence. And me wanting to understand that more is definitely a huge contributor into me studying social work.
And doing what you do.
And doing what I do.